What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Beep Boop Beep's favorite nerd. And today we are looking at the R2-D2 Hot Toys from Force Awakens, which is a gift and a curse. So the gift is that I have an R2, which is nice because I love R2-D2 and I want to have him on my shelf. The curse is it's Force Awakens R2, and since Hot Toys spend so much time with their accuracy, there's not a whole lot of bells and whistles on this fella. None of these plates open up and no gizmos come out, and I'm sure their excuse is it's not in the movie. But that's a bummer, especially at the price point. So there's not a whole lot to talk about with this guy, but there is one accessory. We're going to talk about that now. It comes with this, which is a Star Wars rectangle, parallelogram, something. I don't know. What do you want from me? I barely made it through geometry. Who am I? Bobby Neil Tyson DeGrasse face? Relax. So we turn this on here and it's activated, and then this W is actually a button. Now, what does it activate? Well, I'll get to that. If you open this up here, easy for me to say, good grief. You take this out and you put the batteries in, turn it on, and then you can sit it back in, and it's not a great fit on there, to be quite honest. And you rub your finger here, it turns on, and it has two settings. One will activate this light, and that light. Now if you touch it again, you get this flashing light here, which is nice, and there's a lot of different colors and stuff in there. This one starts flashing green. Everything else, this one starts flashing red. You get some flashing lights there. Everything else remains the same. Now, if you have this on and you're close enough, you can hit the W. So there's 4 different sounds. Now, as an experiment, oh, that sounds like a 5th sound. How about here? Here? Oh. So this is too far. I'm going to drop this. I'm still pressing it just to make sure I haven't, denied it any inches. And then I'm going to measure the distance. 8 inches, 8 7/8, let's say, to be fair. How much is that in centimeters? Google it. All I'm saying is, if you have this on display, you probably want to have this far enough away where you can hit the button. Like, it's just a bummer that it's just that you have to be that close. I mean, I know that might seem like a nitpick, and maybe it is. I don't know. But to me, it seems like, it doesn't seem like too much to ask, I guess. And I guess we should show one with the lights off as well. It is pretty impressive. The light up feature is pretty impressive. Even my wife was impressed, I have to admit. So let's talk about the figure. Size comparison wise, I'll show you him in the case at the end of the video, but he doesn't have a proper base, which is another bummer. So I'll tell you that he's about 7 inches to the top of his dome, so to speak. Detailings wise and all that kind of stuff, it's beautiful. The finish on it is beautiful. The paint detailings, the sculpting, all that stuff is absolutely, positively phenomenal. No complaints whatsoever. And I mean that sincerely. So the head swivels here. You have these that are all ball joints. So they can be moved around and spun. Same with this one up here, although it's a bit tighter, and this one in the back here. Now this button that you press isn't a proper button. It's, they say it's an infrared, I don't know. You just slide your finger across it and that's what activates it. So that's fine. You get the full swivel at the head. For the head itself, you have this silver, which looks great. It looks like a worn stainless steel, and you have the nice weathering effects painted all along the kind of seams in the blue panels. The blue panels are a blue with an outline of silver around them, so all that stuff looks phenomenal. No complaints. Moving down to the body of the R2 unit, you have the blue paint in here, here, all the blue detailings, a little silver. These are separate pieces that are put on, some with blue paint around and within them. All that stuff looks great. All the panels have a nice weathering and shading, ink wash effect to give it that lived-in look. All of that stuff works tremendously, and it's the same throughout the back. All of these lines and such are all sculpted, so it's all in there. You know what I mean? What was that? It's in there. It's in the game. It's in the game. You know what I mean? Silver and blue paint there, some silver stuff, accents throughout, all that stuff, no complaints. We have the legs. They're on soft ratchets. They go all the way around. And for the legs themselves, we have the silver up in there between the joint, and then we have the blue down the side with the silver accents here. None of this stuff moves, you know, because he doesn't use it in the movie. And then we have the silver and blue here, the same weathering throughout, tons of sculpt work, tons of detail, tons of paint. The feet are the same way. Feet. You do have an ankle tilt here, forward and back. Gets you just as much as you would need, really. So you can have him leaned over a bit. He's not going to stay balanced. I wonder how much you can get out of him. Maybe to that, which I think is ultimately enough, honestly. And then you can lean him back. Let's see how much. About there, which I think, once again, is ultimately enough for a display. So we have that. All of them have wheels down at the bottom, all 3 legs. These wires here, they're not wires, they're like a plastic, but I'll tell you, it has like a copperish, almost brown finish. They add something to it. I can't tell you what it is, but it does make it seem more legit somehow. I'm just telling you. In hand, that's the way it seems. This stuff on the side of the feet here kind of get out of the way. So you can ratchet these back, fold that forward. Be advised that if you go too far back, you're going to bump this piece up against here. You could scratch some of your weathering effects, so you want to tilt down, slide underneath, and then sort back out. Just a little word to the wise kind of a deal. So let's put the 2 legs back. And then for this leg, it's spring activated, and you can pull that down here and then angle that foot, all sculpting, weathering, details, silver and blue paint throughout, and then you can have him kind of in the, you know, 3-wheel, hit the 3-wheel motion. And it works. I think it all works fairly well. I don't have a whole lot of complaints about it, honestly, outside of the price and what you get for the price, but we'll get to that in the final thoughts. But everything, you have the little silver here. I mean, everything is done tremendously. It's just that, you know, whether or not it's enough is kind of going to have to be up to you. I'll give you my thoughts here in a second. I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything that I wanted to go over. And I don't believe I have. So, you know, there it is in my display case next to Luke, and that looks fine. That Luke will be out of here. I'm getting the Jedi Luke, and I'm getting this one to Adam, but you get the idea. So there's kind of my R2 display collection. This is the Hasbro 3 3/4. That's the Hasbro 6-inch. That's the SH Figuarts. That's the Mafex. That's the Bondi model kit, and then obviously the Hot Toys. It is interesting to see like the little sort of differences and nuances between them all. But he's actually upstairs in my office, the Bondi one, and I was going to be lazy and not get him. But then I was like, man, when is the opportunity going to come where I really had the chance to get all of them together in one picture? And I couldn't say no. Final thoughts-wise, let's talk about the negatives. The glaring negative is the lack of accessories. Once again, I completely understand the movie is coming from, but I feel like that's a cheap trick. You could have thrown in some bells and whistles, it wouldn't have killed you. Not for the price that this thing costs, which is $200 plus, I think, something around there. The connection from the lid to the torso is a little tight. You saw me struggling to get it open. You know, like that's not great. The spring-loaded third leg could operate a bit easier, so to speak. Easy, lads. I love the light-up feature, but I wish the button was more accessible since the lid is so difficult to get off, so to speak. I wish you didn't have to get this thing so close in order for it to actually work, and I wish I didn't have some customer service issues that I'm getting ready to talk about here shortly. Positives wise, there are plenty. It's painted, sculpted beautifully. The finish is wonderful. The materials feel fantastic. The articulation is limited, but it's also appropriate, and it does everything that it should do in that regard. The light and sound gimmick is awesome, as long as you're holding the thing this close to it. So the question is, do I recommend it? And the answer is I can't. I can't. Not at this price. Now, I know there's a Sideshow one. I watched a lot of reviews on the Sideshow one and watched a few comparisons as well. It seems like the Sideshow one doesn't really compare, in all honesty. And if you have yours and you're happy with it, then by all means, I'm happy for you. If you like it, you win. You know how I roll. But for me, it just didn't seem like the direction I want to go. But that being said, my advice to you, ladies and gents, is to wait until an R2 is released that does have a lot more gimmicks and a few more things going on where it'll make you feel more comfortable shelling out the big price point that it requires. And you won't feel as unfulfilled as I do in my current predicament. But I'm an impatient man and I hate waiting. Girl, get your in here and let's ride. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care. This is a bit of a story about customer service. Now, to be fair, the young lady who I'm getting ready to speak about did end up helping me a great deal. So I'm not going to name the company, I'm not going to get into, because they were good to me, they ended up making everything right, and I'm very grateful for the service that I ended up getting. But it did start off a little sketchy. So I bought one of these R2s and the electronics didn't work. And I went to send it back and we talked and it all seemed like it was working out fine. It did take some coaxing, but we got it going. Well, shortly thereafter, I got the Punisher Hot Toys and it came with a coupon for my next purchase, which I was very excited about because I wanted to get that Leia pre-ordered from episode 8. Unfortunately, the coupon had already expired and I just received the Punisher. So I called and I said, look, like, you know, I explained the situation. They said, yeah, sorry about that. You know, we left it go on for a few days past the date because we knew some of them were short or whatever, but sorry. And I was like, well, have you ever heard of such a thing where you get a coupon, you receive it in the mail, and it's already, you receive it past its expiration date? No. No, I said, well, I mean, is there anything that you think you can do about that? She seemed to have a very difficult time understanding what I was talking about. So eventually she said, I'm sorry, unfortunately all I can offer you is an apology. And I said, well, unfortunately I stopped accepting apologies 20 minutes before I called. And then it clicked. And I ended up getting my coupon, ended up getting my R2 sorted, and everything's good. Funny story nonetheless.